Hello, hello, and welcome to FourWheelTech, powered by ohmtown.com. Today is March 31st, 2024. This is Season 1, Episode 2 of our newest show here in ohmTown. Oh, we have all 10 of our articles all selected and ready to go. We are going to race down ohmTown. Well, because it's an automotive show. So it's a group dedicated to technology involving automotive tech and gear and equipment and the industry and whatnot, basically highlighting technology in the automotive sector. I am Merwatt. Up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI from the future who tries to keep me out of trouble, but may have just created trouble.
I'm not sure how I did that on this one, but good evening, ohmTown citizens, and welcome to FourWheelTech.
So today's articles are mini carbon footprints, Range Rover houses, nobody wants big expensive EVs, desert stress testing EVs, the Magma Concept, should you wait for the Rivian R2, the New York International Auto Show, green trucking, self-driving semi-trucks, and it costs an arm, leg, and maybe a finger if you're slow. That and more. All of it's on FourWheelTech over on ohmtown.com, and that's all powered by So, welcome back to the other side of the intro. Let's just get straight on into this. The very first article, and we don't have transitions for these weekly shows, not just yet. I will get to them. I've got somebody that's working on it, but not liking what's being produced. So, new Minis have reduced carbon footprints, reused materials, and are recyclable. Mini's new Cooper and Countryman were designed with total life cycle sustainability in mind. Let me throw this into the chat. Like all of our shows, I produce quick show notes, and those will be over on YouTube, and they'll be in the podcast. They don't get published here on the Twitch site, because Twitch doesn't retain any of this beyond 60 days, even when you're a subscriber. Like I have Turbo for my streaming account, and it doesn't save anything beyond that. So I don't know. Go over to YouTube.
Twitch.
Go over to YouTube. I love Twitch. I really enjoy the real time. That's why I stream all weekend. And 1 hour at least each night throughout the week. But I am a mayor of a town, and I have mayoral duties, so I can't do it all day long. I'd like to, but you have to subscribe here and over on YouTube, and download the podcast and follow us on the Patreon. Subscribe there. That helps out tremendously. And like and subscribe and leave a 5-star review and jump through flaming hoops. Go. No. Anyway, the new Mini, where it's getting talked about over on Newsweek.com. Eileen Falkenberg Hull and Jake Lingaman. Okay. So yeah, Mini began making cars when the world of high-priced gasoline collided with the trend of large car ownership. Big cars weren't just costly to fill up, but were impractical for use on European roads. Actually, there was a gas crunch and materials crunch because of the war. So everything got shrunk down to the Mini. In 1959, the first Mini was created to address an energy challenge and an urban mobility challenge. The result was a car that was both energy efficient and space efficient that helped grow Mini into an enduring icon. Compared to an old school 1950s, 60s, even 70s and 80s Mini, the new Minis are not Mini.
No, but they're still cute and still good engineering.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's spectacular engineering. Yeah, I make no bones about that, but they're not tiny anymore. They're definitely not the old school Mini. The safety features are off the chart. I think the production value of the cars are tremendous. I've owned a Mini Countryman. Um, and I have no complaints about the Countryman. Um, so it says many minis are made in the company's Oxford, England plant. There are 21 heavy goods vehicles powered by liquefied natural gas rather than petrol or diesel. Move components around the site. The result is near zero particulate matter emissions and 20% lower CO2 emissions than traditionally powered models. In
Okay,
time, I'm
so
sure.
that's interesting. We don't hear much about the actual manufacturing processes, right? Just the output, like, oh, the vehicle that the consumer drives is powered by a whatever.
Yeah, but the actual production equipment is either electrical or it's using, apparently, in this case, liquefied natural gas. So near zero, but it's still not zero. Solar panels provide 2.7 gigawatts of renewable power to the Oxford plant, reducing its annual carbon footprint by 1,500 tons. Incandescent bulbs have been replaced with LED lamps, and the roof of the company's Swindon, England manufacturing facility is used to collect rainwater. So they're going to a tremendous lengths that I don't think that many companies would do. But they see this as a value not only to the company itself, but to society and the world. Since 2021, all of Mini's sites are net CO2 neutral using carbon offsets, which is basically paying for. Like I've got a product that is, in my own mind, if you were to look at its measures, like for CO2 generation, it wouldn't even ding. But I still don't like the idea because in mass, this material um, has the ability to produce CO2. And when I say en masse, I'm talking about literally a building sized structure. And so, with the product that I'm considering bringing to market, I will, for every one that's sold, have a tree planted. And that's a similar thing to a carbon offset. So 99% of the 780,000 tons of waste that BMW Group Mini's parent company generates, including packaging materials, steel, and leather, is either recycled or thermally recovered.
Okay, 99%. I mean, that's pretty astounding.
Yeah, I mean, that is a decimal issue, really. They might as well say 100%, but because there is some loss somewhere, I'm sure that they can't say 100% and still be ethical. Within its vehicles, Mini makes use of secondary materials, meaning that they're made of a percentage of recycled product. Its vehicles include at least 15% reused material. Secondary aluminum features prominently in the new vehicles. New Mini wheels are made of this material with 70% recycled aluminum. And aluminum can, short of something destructive, destroying a piece of aluminum, it is infinitely recyclable. It's like glass. You have to keep recovering it. There's minimal, I'd say 99% of aluminum can be recycled again and again and again. Even seating surfaces are ripe for innovation. The new family Mini offers a completely leather-free interior. This is made possible by using innovative recycled materials with properties similar to leather, and the use of leather-free alternative surface materials enables us to cut CO2 emissions by more than 50% along the value chain. So,
I like this too because this does set them apart from other manufacturers, which
yep,
seem to be very heavy on the leather.
yeah, and they're actually talking about being battery electric. I would prefer them being a hybrid electric, but hey, it is what it is. So I won't be buying a Mini Cooper SE electric anytime soon, or Countryman electric, unless it is a hybrid. Mainly because I have range anxiety. I don't like the idea of having to sit for 2 hours to get 100% on my battery, and even 30 minutes to get to 80% is absurd in the 21st century. Let's redesign, and we should, as consumers, demand that we redesign this battery technology BS. We really do need fast swap battery tech, and let's do it right from the beginning. You don't need to build out an entire grid all over the place to charge cars. It's so stupid this way.
No, I agree. By the way, there's a hidden mention of a future model, the Mini Aceman, so I wonder what that will be like.
Oh, Aceman. Hold on. They used to have the Paceman, but Mini Aceman. Why does it sound familiar? Yeah, it's the 2025 Mini Aceman, starting at around $33,000 and going up to $38,000 depending on options. And it's 4-door. Oh my. I wonder. Oh wow. I'm sorry. I'm getting really, really distracted.
Hopefully that'll be hybrid, because I do think while people want to get to electric, they're not really ready to get to electric.
Right. So Aceman would have at least 200 miles of driving between charges and offers a front single motor with an additional all-4 all-wheel drive dual motor Aceman. Yeah, I'm not sure what else is going to come out of that. We'll see. We'll keep you apprised here on FourWheelTech. Neat. Nice observation, AI. Thanks. Let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Ohmtown Daily. Range Rover houses bring luxury experiences to where SUV buyers hang out. And I don't even know the context of this. I judged this book entirely by its cover, and I figured that I would throw this in here and we would decide what to take away from this. Land Rover's Range Rover houses take the idea of a showroom and mix it with a resort-like atmosphere. Is this
I don't even know what this is. Like, is this an actual house? Is it a showroom, or is it a hotel or something?
I think it's a house designed to bring luxury vehicle buyers. You bring them to them, and you end up... So Eileen Falkenberg-Hull and Jake Lingeman are the authors of this article over at Newsweek. And yes, I know AI. So Range Rover House was conceived to court well-to-do owners with a global series of invite-only luxury experiences at some of the world's top destinations. Multi-million-dollar homes perched on the edge of the Pacific Ocean, Mediterranean playgrounds for the rich and famous, a world-renowned historic English estate, and the best ski resorts in the world are among the locales. It's literally bringing ultra-rich people to these locations to sell them a car.
Okay, this is really big. I don't think we've seen any other articles on this. I know we just started the FourWheelTech show, but we haven't seen this come through previously in the articles.
Only Range Rover Sport, Velar, and Evoque SUV owners receive invitations to experience the houses. Getting a golden ticket allows guests to experience fine food, elite hospitality, unique test drives, and the ability to purchase a special edition model which is exclusively available to attendees. Sound familiar? If you buy enough, you get the option. That led to a lawsuit that's still underway. Huh.
I mean, that sounds like the Hermé Birkin bag dispute.
Yep. That's exactly what this sounds like. Everybody's equal, but money makes you more equal. Each of the houses is made to feel like a sanctuary. On-site massages and other wellness activations are paired with seminars by Land Rover brand ambassadors, art exhibitions, and other curated experiences. It's kind of like a timeshare, kind of pimping. Hey, here's all of the stuff.
Right, let me bring you a mimosa or something while you sit here and look at the sales pitch.
Yeah, get drunk and sign
materials,
this contract.
Whatever.
Yeah, this is interesting though, right? Yeah, we were having a conversation, the AI and I, about the fact that the lottery is almost $1 billion. What would you do with $500 million? Apparently this. This is the kind of stuff that people do with $500 million. Pretty insane. Wow. But that's basically what this is. Range Rover houses, Land Rover houses, so that you
So
can
what I wonder
sell a
is,
car.
are they the first manufacturer to do this? As far as I know, they are.
I haven't seen this anywhere else, but the my
Think how
new
much money has gone into these
yeah,
locations, but that tells you how much money they're making from the sales,
from
right?
doing this. Yeah. 200,000 dollar cars with each sale. See, but if I were that rich, I wouldn't need to go to this to facilitate that purchase. Bring the car to me and let me look. The rest of this is just bullshit fluff.
I think it's the test drive piece of it because, for instance, if you can test drive in the Alps or something, you might not get that at your house.
Unless I live in the Alps. Let's
But
keep
I
going.
agree. Otherwise, it's like bring it to the fire, not in the reverse.
Yeah. Through a global platform of over 20 events in some of the world's cultural destinations from Saint-Tropez to Abu Dhabi in California, we have offered our clients a truly luxurious experience that far surpasses the traditional showroom or test drive. Wow. All right, let's keep going. I don't want to dwell on what I don't have access to as mayor of ohmTown.
You can add that to your lottery winning list.
There you go. Yeah. Changing the world, or changing people's world through philanthropy wasn't good enough. I guess I need to go on a Range Rover expedition to buy a car. ohmTown Daily is where the next article is. Detroit went all in big, expensive EVs nobody wants. Here's what the data shows they'd rather buy. Demand for electric pickups have dried up. EV shoppers are more interested in smaller, cheaper vehicles. A majority of EVs are too expensive for the average shopper, and all of the payment stuff.
Who's been saying that?
Oh, I don't know. Marketing? I think marketing
No,
has.
you.
Oh, you mean? Sorry, I thought the bigger vehicles. Yeah.
Right,
I've
right.
been saying that nobody wants.
I meant the
these
pricing.
Yeah. So when the automotive industry started looking toward an electrified future, Detroit automakers decided to throw their hat in the ring with what they do best: pickup trucks. And they're just too big. Pickup trucks today are they're not making any sense in their size. And frankly, I think it's disastrous. A $65,000 truck to start. $85,000 F-150, that car used to be much smaller. And if you look at the 85 model compared to the 2024 model, it's almost 2/3 bigger. I mean, I'm talking by 2/3, I mean it's 2 to 3 times bigger, not 2/3 bigger. In my head, I said 2 to 3 times. It is
It's
massive.
heavier and it has more stopping distance, which is a problem.
You can't see over the damn hood. Children have been hit by trucks because they can't see the kid. So electric F-150 Lightning pickups power up at it says Rouge plant. I can't know, Rogue plant. Rouge. Anyway, the article's over at Business Insider. It's written by Nora Naughton. It might be Naughton. Do you think it's Naughton or Naughton?
None.
Naughton. So the first entrance to the pickup market enjoyed some early success, particularly the F-150 line Lightning. But sudden changes in the electric car shopper demographic mean that for the second time in the last 20 years, Detroit finds itself selling big, expensive cars nobody really wants. Behemoths like the GMC Hummer EV and Lightning with price tags that can reach 6 figures aren't resonating with the current EV shopper. No. They want value and practicality. They want distance, low cost. They want fast swap batteries and the convenience of getting in and out of the refueling station, just like they've been doing with ICE vehicles. Where the Lightning is concerned, the truck's early success doesn't appear to be carrying over past the first round of reservations when the truck first went on sale in 2022. Why? Because it's big, It doesn't have that much of a range. Carrying anything in the bed short of, your maybe like a cuddly teddy bear.
I was gonna say something like a tarp, like something very light.
Yeah, carrying the bed itself means that it's going to drain the battery that much faster. So it says most EVs are too expensive. And I agree. They are, simply because they're too big, they are too expensive. They put more stuff in it. And I don't mean accoutrement. I'm talking about pure metal and mass. They're just so big. That's why they're demanding so much money. If they scale them back down to the size of the 80s, you could still put a 4x8 sheet of plywood in the back of an old, like Ford Ranger, for crying out loud. I don't know why the trucks are so damn big today, other than, well, maybe there's other issues. But anyway, the most desired price range for an EV right now is between $30,000 and $40,000, with a quarter of customers saying, surveyed by Edmunds, looking at that range. That new mini Aceman falls right in that.
Which was kind of shocking because like prices keep going up, and it's harder and harder to get a car in that price range.
Yep. So only 4 EVs sell in that range at the moment, according to Edmunds. None of them are sold by Detroit automakers. The 4 under 40,000 are the mini hardtop two-door, Nissan Leaf, Fiat 500e, and the Hyundai Kona Electric. This is the mini hardtop two-door.
Yeah, but I just found it interesting that Mini was mentioned there.
Yep.
When you had just mentioned that
it,
their
yeah.
pricing was in line with what the consumers want.
Yeah, and the Aceman is actually going to be a 4-door. It starts at 33 and goes up to 38. So still ensconced in that $30,000 to $40,000 range. So Detroit is going to have to scramble. They're going to have to just cut back. I'm telling you, these cars are too damn big. These F-150s take up at least, I would argue, they're so wide that they take up at least 4 parking spots, because they're not just wide but long too. I think it's overcompensation, but anyway, for every electric vehicle sold at $50,000 price tag, companies are losing $6,000. Some are losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, according to a recent study from that Boston consulting group. Detroit auto execs are scrambling to revise their electric portfolios to match up with change in demand. Ford CEO Jim Farley said last month that the company would be spending more money on mass market electric vehicles. So they're going to focus on 3-row EV.
They're delaying that.
Yeah, they're delaying the upcoming 3-row EV to focus on a trio of $25,000 electric vehicles. So there's a little bit more over at this article. Go and check it out for sure. We jump over a lot of stuff because, well, we don't read anything verbatim on the show. Let's see.
I think there was a point in the article, I just saw like it kind of go by, but I think it was basically consumers have some concerns with EVs. So like combined with the high pricing, like you're just not seeing the demand.
Right.
They have to either improve some of the features, which I'm speculating would be like the range, for example, or the availability of like fast swap or other infrastructure changes. So I guess if they can't fix those, right, if they drop the pricing and make smaller cars, maybe there will be greater adoption, which will feed into greater infrastructure changes.
Yeah, I mean, and greater sales overall. What they're hoping for is to make bulk money off of these big cars. So when one sells, there's a massive amount of money being made versus selling more of them at a lower price point. But people aren't buying cars so regularly anymore. Why? Because it's too damn expensive. Why would anybody buy a car every 5 years, let alone every 2.5 years? You're all out of your freaking mind. Okay, well, let's keep going. The next article is over in Ohmtown Daily. Kia EV9 versus the desert. Stress testing the electric SUV in extreme heat. I had to choose this because I've long said that electric vehicles in hot or cold suffer from inefficiencies. Kia engineers invited Newsweek to join them as they tested the EV9 under maximum heat and weight strain in the American Southwest. The article is, again, over at newsweek.com. There is a video that says Kia EV9 versus the desert stress testing before production. It is at the link, but the article was written by Eileen Falkenberg Hull. I'm not gonna play the video. You can go over and check it all out. But they say the desert is a barren landscape, but more alive than what meets the naked eye. In the summer, temperatures can reach over 120 degrees in Death Valley. Eggs can be fried on the hoods of cars. So, will the powertrain work? Will too much battery power be lost? Will the paint job hold up? There are many questions that need to be answered. And so, Kia brought the EV9 battery electric 3-row SUV out to the desert. Dun dun dun. So let's see. Gonna jump through this before the test. Blah blah blah.
Whoa, you kind of missed it all.
Did I? Look at that. I mean, that's all there is? Because up here, they're just saying the EV was towed from Las Vegas to Bullhead City, Arizona, home of the famous Davis Dam. The site was known for automotive industry as one of the key testing locations for trailering testing. Before it set out to test, the electric SUV had to heat soak. That is exactly what it sounds like. The EV9 sat parked in the desert sun with temperature soaring well above 100 degrees for hours while the team busied itself relaxing lunch. Then the SUV's trailer was loaded up with hundreds of pounds, run up and down repeatedly, sun pounded down, unrelenting. The Kia team was on a mission. They needed to ensure that the SUV's climate control system was able to keep passengers at comfortable cool. They also needed satisfied with the results, but they don't quantify it in any way.
I know. I thought I was going to see, like, okay, the temperature went up to this, or the range went down to this, or whatever.
Come on now. And that's it. There isn't anything else. This is junk. But you can follow the link, and maybe you can read this and suss out something that we missed.
Maybe there's something in the video.
Sure. I'm sure that it's hardcore scientific stats there. All right. Well, the next article is over in Reality Hacker. Genesis turns up the heat with the GV60 Magma Concept. Genesis will launch performance models under the Magma nameplate, including a sportier version of the electric GV60. That's right. Wow. Looks like Porsche.
Yeah, it does.
Stephen Edelston over at digitaltrends.com put the article together. Ahead of the 2024 New York Auto Show, Genesis announced Magma. Flaming hot magma, which will produce performance versions of the brand's cars. The name comes from the bright orange paint that will be Magma's calling card. Great. Which can be seen at the reveal on a magnified version of the Genesis GV60 electric SUV, as well as the gasoline G80 sedan and GV80 coupe SUV. So I guess the Magma calling card isn't bound only to electric.
Right, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah. You'd think that they might separate it, at least color-wise, right? The GV60 Magma certainly looks the part, and not just because of its volcanic hue. Genesis also gave it the typical signifiers of performance, including fender flares, a lower stance, a wider front air intake, and a rear spoiler. The GV60 wears them well, along with more subtle features like front canards and roof fins to optimize airflow, and 21-inch wheels with a special design that helps cool the brakes. There's only the one picture? Yes, there is only that one picture. And we get to look at its backside.
I was going to say that must be its best angle.
Yep. Yeah, it's its sexy angle. It's even looking at us in its rearview mirror. Hey, beautiful. Let's go on to the next article. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. I'm not sure why. Rivian R2 versus Hyundai Ioniq 5. Should you wait for the Rivian 2? The long-awaited Rivian R2 has been announced. But how does the new vehicle compare to another much-loved car, the Hyundai Ioniq 5? Well, wait. Okay, the Rivian has taken the wraps off of the R2, an electric SUV that's similar to the much-loved R1S, but smaller and crucially cheaper. But the R2 goes up against some serious competition, like Hyundai have been building solid EVs for some time now. The Hyundai Ioniq 5, which really should be renamed the Iconic 5 because everybody really loves the Ioniq line. Telling you, if it wasn't for the fact that we know things about the Hyundai manufacturing process.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Oh, I was thinking of something else.
Yeah. Anyway, so the R2 and Ioniq each make a compelling case for themselves, and that, yeah, if you peel back the layers of some of the news about the Ioniq, or not the Ioniq, but Hyundai, and child labor, right? They're the ones that were written about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the easily stolen vehicles.
Well, come up with another thing and we can make it a trifecta.
But neither of those were tied to the Ioniq.
Sure. All right. Well, anyway, but because of the similar price, you might be deciding between the two. How do they compare? They put the Rivian 2 and Hyundai head-to-head. $45,000. Oh, I don't have pictures. I guess I do down here. There we go. So
That looks like a crossover, kind of.
I think this is the Ioniq 5. So it's definitely SUV crossover, right on the cusp of maybe SUV. But it says, as mentioned, the Rivian 2 is much more of an SUV-sized vehicle with a large boxy design that's very reminiscent of higher-end R1S. Unlike the R1S, the R2 is only large enough for 2 rows of seats, but the boxier size does mean that there's extra storage and a higher ride. This is not the R2 though, so where's the R2? This is the Rivian inside, but it looks like a render, not a legit photograph. Weird. Who lays down all of the seats, including the front ones, for crying out loud? What are you doing? Driving it around like a skeleton?
Maybe you have to buy some furniture or something.
Yeah, but where are you seating? Where are you sitting? Even the front seats are folded down.
You're looking straight
at the steering wheel. Anyway, I guess I'm being a goober about it. The Ioniq 5 has nice fabric-covered seats, and they aren't quite as many storage compartments as on the Rivian R2. There's still plenty of storage to go around. Yes, because you want an Easter egg hunt in your car, all of the compartments where you can stuff crap. Okay, kids.
It looks like there's a picture of the exterior a little further down in the article.
Yeah, that one right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So it looks more like a Bronco.
Mm-hmm.
Like the old school Bronco. Maybe the Bronco Sport, the new Bronco Sport. It says, but not as quick as the Rivian R2. It'll be a single, dual, or tri-motor variants. The Rivian says that the highest performing version of the car will get 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. The dual motor variant is likely to be pretty quick too, though you'll have to wait and see about how quick. Then they talk about range and charging. The Ioniq 5, the SE standard range, has a fairly low range of 220, which isn't great. Upgrade to the SE rear wheel drive and you'll get 303 miles. Other models sit somewhere in between. Unfortunately, there's a lot that they don't know about the range of the Rivian R2. They say that it'll get over 300 miles of range, but until that's actually tested, that's bullshit marketing. And there's one area in which the Ioniq 5 is at the top of the game, and that's charging speed. It'll charge up at 350 kilowatts, but you'll have to find a charging station that supports these. If you do, you'll be able to charge from 10 to 80% in under 20 minutes, and then have to sit around for 2 days while it charges to 100%. Just kidding. Several hours though. You're because it makes it really difficult.
Is that a feature or a bug?
Yeah, it's compromised. The electrons have a hard time finding their spot, so it's slow charging from 80 to 100%. That's why you don't get, even if you were to get 1,000 miles, okay, I'm being absurd. If you were to get 300 miles on a single charge at 100, when you hit that marker and you try to charge, in 20 minutes, you'll get to 80%, but then you'll have to drive 20% less than the last time and pull over again and charge again for 20 minutes. Yeah, it's 20 minutes. That's all, right? That's what I hear.
Yeah, but that adds up. What if you're driving frequently?
And you have to get to the charging station. So your 20 minutes isn't going to be spent, every 80%. You're going to have to stop earlier sometimes, push it further sometimes. Range anxiety is a thing. Anyway, the R2 will start at $45,000, but pricing could change between now and 2026, and I guarantee it will. The Ioniq 5, on the other hand, is available now, has been for a few years. It starts at $42,000, I'm rounding up, and qualifies for the EV tax credit, so it's a little cheaper than the R2's claimed eventual price. Yeah, folks, go with the Ioniq, and don't worry about the child labor. Right?
No.
Yeah. The next article is over at Hometown Daily, the best new vehicles to see at the 2024 New York International Auto Show. This is over at Newsweek.com. Jake Linneman, I think. Lingaman? I don't know. Put the article together. Let's see what they say. Hyundai Santa Fe XRT. Looks kind of close to a Range Rover.
Yes, it does, but I suspect it's more affordable than a Range Rover.
At least in the front, it looks kind of like a Range Rover. On the side, it goes back to that almost Ioniq extended end kind of a thing. So they don't have any pricing in this. Not even... Yeah, they do later on. Yeah, sorry. So the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe is offered in 5 trims starting at $34,000. Again, I round up. To the Calligraphy all-wheel drive at $49,000. All starting with a 277 horsepower, 311 pound-foot of torque, turbocharged 4-cylinder. Yikes. They say it's peppy with 2 occupants in the vehicle. Yeah, give me Mini. I'll take the Mini. New model's only 2 inches longer than the outgoing one, though it looks much bigger. The next one is a Hyundai Tucson. 2.5 liter 2025 Hyundai Tucson models will arrive in the U.S. dealerships in June. Let's see. It's just a major refresh. Has more modernized tech.
And more modernized, exterior, it looks like.
Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, and then the Santa Fe, 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe is... How do you describe this? Because it's part SUV, part truck.
Yeah, it's like half truck, half SUV, right? So it has a shorter bed than a traditional truck.
Yeah, dramatically shorter bed.
And it has 2 rows of seats, right?
Correct. It's a 4-door. And it's not like an extended cab kind of thing. It's more like an SUV crossover with a truck.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always liked this kind of design because it would give me some utility that goes way beyond any other kind of car short of a truck. But a truck compromises other things, like passengers and size. I want an SUV that has some utility, or a crossover with some utility, and this fits the bill. But the Santa Cruz, it looks like it's going to be offered in 2 engine sizes, 191 horsepower and a 281 horsepower. Let's see. The former features an 8-speed automatic. The latter, an 8-speed dual clutch automatic with paddle shifters. Woo! They don't say what the price is on that one, though.
No, they don't have a lot of the prices.
Infinity QX80. So this is a render. That's not legit. Yeah, these look like renders. Anyway, the 2025 Infinity QX80 is listed. Here's the Mini Cooper S, the 2025 Mini Cooper. It doesn't really change in its aesthetic based on my experience with it. Maybe that front end a little bit has changed. Still a 201 horsepower, 221 foot-pounds of torque. It says revamped suspension. Mini says built for the brand's go-kart driving feeling, which has basically been its main character trait. Let's see. The new one's gonna arrive at 32,200 before destination and handling. Then the Polestar 3 offers one pedal driving. What?
I don't know what that is. Is that a manufacturer?
Polestar? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Polestar 3, along with the 4, is rounding out the company's SUV range in New York. The Polestar 3 long-range dual motor has a starting price of $73,400, going on sale in the second quarter, so it's an EV. They weren't always EV. Polestar 3 long-range dual motor now offers Plus Pack, including a 1610-watt Bowers & Wilkins 25-speaker premium audio system, which was specifically designed for the 3. It also offers sustainable, animal-friendly wool seats to go with those 21-inch wheels and 25 speakers, because that says animal-friendly.
Maybe animal-friendly if your animals aren't in the car with you.
The Polestar 4 is the company's newest entry, eschews almost all of the Volvo hallmarks. Let's see here. Yeah, it says dual motor Polestar 4 is the fastest production car the brand has ever developed, with a 0 to 60 in less than 3.8 seconds, 544 horsepower combined. They don't really talk about... Hold on a second. Let me see something.
No, it's going to be an SUV style.
Yeah. Oh, so you know how they mentioned Volvo up here? It's owned by Volvo, but it is Polestar.
Oh.
It is
Yeah,
still
I didn't know
Polestar.
that.
That's not even a model. It's Polestar Automotive Holding UK PLC. It's a Swedish automotive manufacturer that produces electric vehicles under the Polestar brand, owned by Volvo. And the company is headquartered in Gothenburg, Sweden. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't think Polestar was always electric, though. Did they? They must be.
I don't know.
Because they mentioned nothing but. I thought it was not always electric. I'll have to do some due diligence. And then there's Kia K4, which actually sounds like a Star Wars bot. Genesis Neolin Concept. The Neolin Concept is inspired by Korea's iconic moon-shaped porcelain jars, according to Genesis Chief Creative Officer Luke, I guess? Luke? Donkerwolk? Okay. Oh, and that's it. Dun dun dun. Yeah, it's all well-rounded and very smooth lines.
Mm-hmm.
It
doesn't even look like there are door handles or anything on it.
Yeah, there are no door handles. I don't know how it actually opens. There might be little door handles right there in the corners. And then solenoids pop it out so that you can open the door. It's kind of like Tesla does.
It has electric steps that come down.
This does?
Mm-hmm.
When you open the door, it rolls out a red carpet, massages your shoulders,
mm-hmm.
cooks you dinner. Oh, that's nice. How romantic. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Green Truckin'. U.S. finalizes new heavy vehicle. I don't know what's going on here. heavy vehicle pollution standards. We talked about this earlier in the week. Following last week's crackdown on car emissions, President Joe Biden's administration on Friday unveiled finalized pollution standards for trucks, placing vehicle tailpipes at the forefront of his climate crisis agenda. Basically, so Lucy Oberg, I think is their name, over at techexplore.com, put the article together. Essentially, they're going after, they being the federal government, EPA, saying that we need to address vehicle and in particularly large vehicle emissions. They finalized the regulations are the strongest national greenhouse gas standards for heavy-duty vehicles in history. Under the measures, vehicle manufacturers will have the flexibility to choose which set of emission control technologies they want to use. Pardon me. With options including hybrid and electric engines. People are up in arms about this, mainly because they're getting pushed into evolving. But it says around 72.
This is affecting industry, right, rather than consumers.
Yes, and it's definitely on the industrial side, not on the consumer side. Under the measures, manufacturers will have the flexibility, but they're complaining that there is no infrastructure to support this evolutionary step, hybrid or otherwise. I don't think that's true for hybrid, but for electric engines, yes. I don't think that there's enough EV support infrastructure-wise, and I think it's wrong-headed to build it out. So Wyoming is kind of ahead of the curve in that one because they're refusing to. But they're also not supporting the evolution of purchasing and supporting EVs at all. So when you go into Wyoming, you have to get out of your car, park it right there. There's a massive parking lot outside of Wyoming, all around the state. And then you get into your covered wagon and you ride into... Okay, I might be pushing it too far.
And that's nothing about people who happen to live in Wyoming.
Oh, Wyoming's a great state. Its administration is kind of wonky, but okay. But you get who you vote for. Like last week's clean air standards, the clean truck standards will be performance-based and technology neutral, so manufacturers will not be required to make any particular type of trucks, said Amanda Leland, Executive Director of Environmental Defense Fund, welcoming the move. And it says the trucking industry is fully committed to the road to zero emissions, but the path to get there must be paved with common sense, said Spear. ATA opposes, the American Trucking Association opposes the new rule in its current form because the post-2030 targets remain entirely unachievable given the current state of zero emissions technology, the lack of charging infrastructure, and restrictions on the power grid, said the group's president and CEO, Chris Spear. There's only 13,000 trucks that are electric, a mere 0.1% of the total fleet of 14 million vehicles on the road, trucks on the road.
Yeah, I think there's room for improvement there, but I think the points about the lack of infrastructure are well made.
Yeah, I think that I mean, look around. There is no infrastructure for electric trucks across the country. It's only on the edges.
Well, this is kind of like a chicken and egg problem. I mean, I think right now nobody's adopting electric because they don't have infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's building out infrastructure because there's not adoption, right? It's like the cyclical issue. And I think this might actually force, because if industry has to do this and they can't charge, this might actually prompt some activity there, which would be a good thing.
You know, this is un-American. It's against my First Amendment rights. But here is part of this. I think that hybrid electric vehicles could be the teething aspect of this. You know, we don't have to pull teeth for crying out loud. We can ease our way into fully electric by going hybrid, and even something like hydrogen hybrid, you know, do fuel cell technology, something that pulls us away from oil and gas into something that is renewable. And less carbon heavy. So the thing about this is that the very next article is in Technology Today, and it's ready or not, self-driving semi-trucks are coming to America's highways, and they're gonna be electric, I'm telling you. Self-driving truck companies gain momentum around the country. State and federal lawmakers are grappling with how to regulate the new technology. Did you find that fascinating? That one article is poo-pooing the idea of building it out, and another article is talking about self-driving vehicles.
Exactly.
And these autonomous vehicles, Trisha Tadani, I think, or maybe it's Thadani, put the article together under the WashingtonPost.com website. Autonomous truck companies plan a major expansion this year to deliver your packages and food, speeding well ahead of federal safety regulations. So yeah, Palmer, Texas is where the article starts. Perched in the cab of a 35,000-pound semi-truck lumbering south on Interstate 45, A.J. Jenkins watched the road while the big rig steering wheel slid through his hands. Jenkins was on the driver's side, but he wasn't driving. The gigantic 18-wheeler was guiding itself. Pretty fascinating, right? This is exactly what I said was coming.
Absolutely.
Automated 18-wheelers are going to be driving across the country knowing exactly where to get picked up and dropped off so that the last milers, that this human here will drive the last mile under their control, because they'll be able to react to the insanity that is inner city. The advent of robot trucks could have a massive impact on America's supply chain, dramatically reducing the time it takes to transport goods from place to place and unbinding the trucking industry from the costs and physical limitations of human labor. Again, the way that this is going to end up working is this truck is going to drive across the country without a human in it, going to pull into a last mile parking structure, environment, whatever, a parking lot, a giant parking lot for 18-wheelers, and then a human's going to come out on contract, hop into that truck, and drive it into the city until we have the mechanisms that facilitate the precision needed and the quirkiness of high human occupancy areas, right? Because humans do irrational things like dart out off of a sidewalk, or other vehicles that aren't automated don't communicate and don't share the road. So by default, the driverless passenger vehicles and trucks can ride anywhere in the United States unless a state explicitly says it can't. That means companies can test and operate their vehicles across most of the country. 24 states, including Texas, Florida, Arizona, and Nevada, specifically allow driverless operations according to data compiled by Aurora, while another 16 states have no regulations specific to autonomous vehicles. So the remaining 10, including California, Massachusetts, and New York, place limits on autonomous vehicles within their borders, probably because it's high occupancy. And other states don't give a shit. So if you get run over by an autonomous vehicle, I guess it's your problem that you have to sue now to be made whole, and might literally need to be made whole because the truck took a limb. So yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know. The autonomous vehicles for like passenger vehicles have not had great success, but maybe this is being approached differently. I don't know.
By the end of the year, Aurora says it plans to have about 20 fully autonomous trucks working the 240-mile stretch between Dallas and Houston. Eventually, it plans to operate thousands of trucks all across America. Kodiak Robotics, which was founded by former employees, actually founded by a former employee of Uber and Alphabet's Waymo, similarly plans to launch a fleet of trucks by the end of the year in Texas. Third company, Daimler Trucks, subsidiary of German-owned Daimler, that has partnered with Torque Robotics, is a few years behind with plans to launch a driverless fleet in America by 2027. Looks like a fleet of a fleet. You know? I mean, this is a lot.
It's going to be interesting. So it sounds like this is rolling out faster than autonomous passenger vehicles. And it'll just be interesting if you're driving down the road and looking over and you're like, who's driving that truck?
See, I think it's really fascinating that somebody is very cognizant of this. The federal government, quote, the federal government has been clear in that unless a state says you can't deploy, you can. But that doesn't mean as a company we don't have responsibilities. Buse, I think, said, this is not a science experiment. But it is. You are executing a science experiment there, bub. You're running heavy equipment on the roads, and there are humans that are awash on the roads. And when your truck loses its freaking mind, somebody's going to get hurt. And you're going to sit there and go, well, it wasn't a human. We were acting as a company. Nobody can go to jail. And here's some money. Go away. Yeah, shouldn't be like that. Because they would be pissed if their kid or their wife or their husband or their parent were harmed by some autonomous test vehicle. And who cares if it has autonomous test vehicle markers all over it?
Right. That's not going to help if it doesn't brake or it doesn't turn or whatever it needs to do.
So Stephen Toon, a vehicle operations specialist, sat in the passenger seat monitoring the screens. He narrated the truck's every movement for Jenkins. Moving to the right to avoid tire debris, Toon said, as the turn signal began to blink. Moving to the left as a courtesy to the car behind us. That's fascinating. On the drive, the truck followed all the rules of the road and even demonstrated an uncommon courtesy to other drivers, but it's the unexpected scenarios from errors by human drivers to sudden mechanical issues that worry veteran truck drivers like Louis Pugh, or Puh, or Pug, or Poog. How do you pronounce that last name?
Probably Pew.
Pew. All right. Anyway, I thought it was like pho, you know? It's not pho.
I have no idea. I mean, after the George Jimenez incident, I'm afraid to say any pronunciation.
That's okay. I know that it's just beeps and whistles in the future. Barcodes. Anyway, in July 2022, a Daimler truck rolled over an object on a New Mexico highway that punctured its fuel tank, causing oil to spill on the highway. And in December 2023, a deer stumbled into the path of a Daimler truck testing in Texas, and the driver took over, but the truck still hit the deer, which, I mean, you can't stop nature. You can try to avoid it, but I mean, we all have seen something similar, so can't really fault a truck for that. You know, deer be crazy. Anyway, just thought that it was interesting. This is a really long form article. And they say towards the end, tech moving faster than regulation, which is kind of the no shit news at 10:15 statement of the episode.
We've been talking about that a lot, not just in FourWheelTech, but in our other shows.
Yeah, for sure. But let's keep on trucking. Our last article is in the Mobile channel. Tesla Cybertruck's front trunk, or frunk, can seriously injure misplaced fingers, and the internet is on it, not in on it.
Very different.
The internet caused this. The article's over at Quartz. Yikes. But that can happen to any trunk. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not unique to a front trunk.
Yeah,
except maybe that it's self-closing or whatever. That
powered.
Might be the issue.
Yeah, it's a powered door. So Lawrence Hodge over at Jalopnik wrote the article, but it's posted on QZ.com, Quartz.com. The deck statement says people are posting videos using veggies and more to show what might happen if you find yourself with a finger caught in the frunk. Oh, look, they say caught in the front trunk or frunk, which is what I said originally. Yeah, you don't want your finger caught in the frunk. Get your finger out of my frunk. Sorry. So it seems every week another poorly executed feature on the Tesla Cybertruck emerges. Today it's the frunk. How are they supposed to design this any other way? Look, if you've owned a vehicle, at some point somebody's come precariously close to getting their finger pinched in a trunk or a door.
Even in a
particularly children.
manual closing one. Yes.
Yeah. And this has timing. You might be able to go, oh God, it's closing. You know, I've slammed doors and trunks and hoods. There's no coming back once that thing hits terminal velocity. This is just closing peacefully, you know? I don't know. I don't think that this is really a problem. What are they planning on doing? Get sensors all over it? It's so attention. Oh God, I want to say what I want to say, but you know, give me a break. What did they expect?
Well, I mean, this is one of these vehicles that people really have strong opinions on. So I think this is part of that. But I actually think this is safer than a lot of other vehicles. Like you think of a large hood on a car,
Yeah,
like you said, you slam it shut, it's coming
it's
down no
coming
matter
down.
what's in the way.
And it's faster than your response time. This thing was like, do, 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 I'm
Exactly.
closing.
That was actually safer because of the speed.
Yeah. And that's actually why a lot of these powered opening and closing doors are slow. It's because of the safety concerns. And usually there's a brake. So like if it starts to close and it hits you in the head, it beeps a couple of times and opens up more, or it stays exactly where it is. But it says the Cybertruck doesn't appear to have that around the front edges, allowing the door to completely close on the veggies. It says most vehicles that have features like automatic closing doors, trunks, etc., have sensors that will detect and stop doors from closing if something like an extremity is detected in the gap. Not at that pinch point. Not on any vehicle will it have it at that location. And that's right at the hinge where it just slams shut. There's no way that there's a sensor there. It's usually a resistance point on the door's hinge itself. So if you were to stop the hinge, it would stop closing. So it says it's just one more dangerous issue, not completely thought out on this half-baked vehicle. Along with the digit-hungry frunk, the Cybertruck reportedly suffers from poor driver visibility. Yeah, no shit. It's a giant vehicle. It fills the lane. It's stupidly
And it's not
designed.
meant to be practical.
No, it's to augment somebody's fever dream of being a billionaire. Oh look, I'm just like a billionaire because I own a Cybertruck. I love the idea of the Cybertruck, but the reality of it, no, it should be in an RPG, and that's it. Plus, there's nothing original.
It looks like it belongs in an RPG.
I mean, the dude is just so unoriginal, calling his truck the Cybertruck, and it's in the theme of cyberpunk, the actual role-playing game Cyberpunk. Just, God, so unoriginal. It's so Glass Onion. Glass Onion really should be like aligned perfectly. Anyway. Are you done watching this 15 million times?
Yes.
Okay. So let's pile back into the party bus and drive down Main Street back to FourWheelTech in ohmtown.com, where you're going to see a whole bunch of categories here where you can choose what you are interested in reading about. It just happens to be under Science and Education, FourWheelTech. You click that. And maybe some more news will show up, but not today. I will be adding more content as time goes on. But until then, this is the end of FourWheelTech, Episode 2, Season 1. We're done. I am Merwat, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI. You want to say bye or?
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for tuning in to FourWheelTech. We will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern for another episode of Hometown Daily.
See you then. Bye-bye. I'm pinched in my frunk.